if chosen name is patriotism when Donald's to blame. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, full numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd shout no way. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the land Fox News warned its viewers of a dastardly plan. The liberals were launching their war on the season to get rid of Christmas and commit acts of treason, removing decorations out of their sight and telling you that Santa and Jesus ain't white. Environmentalists who will come right after your soul. They hate all things Christmas, especially the coal. They'll sneak in your house all dressed in their flannel and instead give the bad kids some new solar panels. They'll take up all decorations that please us. They'll even go after tiny baby Jesus. Now all these Fox lies cause such a frustration. Who would save us all from this misinformation? When live from the net there came lots of chatter. Could it be old St. Nick, or perhaps someone fatter? Broadcasting from New Orleans down in Louisiana, it was none other than Liberal Dan, coming to save the holiday season, busting through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. But I cannot do it myself, he exclaimed, so he called other groups, each one by name, on Christians, on Muslims, on Wiccans, on Jews, on Hindus and Buddhists and atheists too. Let's all spread the word and tell them indeed that there's no war on Christmas, just one on greed. So instead of joining this manufactured fight, listen to Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right.
Proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. For patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated, Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, Liberal Dan Radio, talk on the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water, they're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us flow. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, Liberal Dan Radio, talk comes to left, that's right. A leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason, unmasking hypocrisy. The truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. 'Cause Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite, Liberal Dan Radio, talk on the left, that's right. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right.
And welcome to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left. That's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you live from New Orleans, Louisiana. Normally, we'll do all of the spiel at the beginning of the show, just a little bit of housekeeping. But as we always do, whenever we have a video chat guest, we are going to go live to him right now. A good friend of mine, somebody who is in the club of people who have run for the 1st Congressional District in the state of Louisiana. He's also run for other offices as well. But we're in that fraternity together. He's also a damn good poker player. But I'd like to welcome everybody to the show. John Frankie Hires to the show. Hey, John, how's it going? What's up tonight?
We're doing well. You know, as long as we're breathing, we got a shot at improving our condition. I stand by it.
Exactly. So maybe a lot of people might have been confused as to are you ugly in Louisiana? So I wanted to give you the opportunity to explain what being ugly is, just overall and specifically for Louisiana, that we can get into why we're having this conversation about why the state of Louisiana has literally disenfranchised every single voter in the state, including and especially including the uglies.
Oh, absolutely, man. And so we're working up a fire. You've already seen a little bit of it, right? So this is a little bit of what we're looking at. And I guess I'm not sure if it's mirrored, whatever. Essentially, it's an acronym. And I kind of figured this out because of just the way that it unfolds, trying to figure out how those letters we came up, it kind of writes itself. So if you're unaffiliated, which I had to, resign my affiliation formally. I've been affiliated as a Green Party guy when I moved out here from California. When I decided to run on the principles of Republican Forum, it certainly made all the sense in the world to be, as a Jeffersonian Republican, to assail that party accordingly. When I was blackballed after going after Template and Van Vranken, essentially, they wouldn't return a phone call. I couldn't get invited to reindeer games. I said, okay, well, we're done with that. Now, I'll tell you, at first, I went to be an I. I was going to be an independent, mostly based on Al Morella, a local guy that just passed away recently. That was the gadfly at the council meetings in Kenner and here in Jefferson Parish council meetings. Wonderful man. Miss him terribly.
Yeah, Al was a great. I mean, when I lived in Kenner, Al would be at the council meetings all the time. He was passionate. He was definitely driven, and he was always nice to me, even if we didn't agree on some of the issues. But he was always a good guy. So he's definitely missed. But
yeah, he was far more hospitable and kind in his approach to anyone than I come off, for sure. But I mean, I went over on Canvas's neighborhood. Some of what he did was appreciated. Some of what he did wasn't necessarily appreciated by some people. That being said, all of what he did as far as showing up, I think was appreciated, and he was beloved for especially that reason. So I think that, for anyone that puts forth an effort to do this in any way, shape, or form, the rewards are just exponential. What you put into doing this, I'll reap those rewards because, it gives you a sense of having fulfilled something that voting isn't ever going to accomplish, right? I mean, you know it.
Yeah.
When you do this, it's like, all right, well, at least I tried. Whether the people listen or not, you gave them a chance, and that's really one of the fundamental reasons I think why anybody tries to do this, right?
Right, but the Louisiana Republican Party has a stranglehold on the state when it comes to how everything's districted or whatever, and they've made some big rules. And again, so when it comes to the uglies, you got the unaffiliated, right? You got the unaffiliated, you got the Green Party,
unaffiliated Green Party,
Libertarian, and Independent. And then I guess there's also the others as well, but basically just the uglies.
Yeah.
You can make a cereal box called the Ugly O's if you wanted to say other too, right?
And exactly. And Liddy loves the Ugly O's. So for her, I think it throws her back to, the Cheerios commercials you've probably seen as a kid. So, for me, I don't mind market testing, but we got a really short market to play in, right?
Right.
It's 35 days beginning tomorrow, I believe, depending on how you count the deadline. Essentially what happened is, I mean, and you're familiar with how the process worked before. You have a couple ways to achieve a ballot, put your name on a ballot, whether you're affiliated or not. Historically, there was a threshold of nominating signatures that you could acquire, and you could acquire them historically from anybody registered to vote, legally registered to vote that was within the district of whatever office you were running for. So when I'm running for parish at large, I can get a signature from anywhere in the parish. If I'm running for a district in the parish, I can only get signatures from within that district. Right? Pretty simple. And it translates the same way up the scale to state government and then the federal government historically.
Right. Because I remember when
Uh,
I ran for Congress way back. I was 20 years in the same district before you did. I was 2004. You were 2024. And when I ran
yeah.
for Congress, I had, I was going to run as a Democrat, and I know just remember this specifically, looking at the information, looking at the forms to see what I would need to do, and I saw, oh look, if I were to run as somebody who is not, a Democrat or Republican, the filing fee was cheaper than it was because you had the state filing fee, and then you had the filing portion of the filing fee that went to either the Democratic or the Republican parties. So if you didn't run as a Democrat or Republican, you didn't have to pay them their share. So you only had to pay the state their share so you could get access to the ballot. You didn't have to go collect signatures. You didn't have to go if you didn't want to. I mean, you could, but you could just put money down and get yourself on the ballot. They changed that.
Yeah, and an interesting thing that when you say that, because when I'm going to run in 2023 for the parish government, I was determined to run against Cynthia Lee Shang for parish presidency because she had no opposition. Nobody filed to run against her. I was literally in the D'Aubigny in the government building with two petitions, two qualifying forms in hand,
right?
Two of them, and I'm waffling back and forth. Am I going to go against Van Rankin and Templet in District 8, where I end up being the number one person on the ballot right after governor's race? Basically, people would see me first. It was a strategic. Plus, I'll get the data of running, what it means to run against two other people. It would, I could get a lot of value for this. But then letting the parish president run unopposed when I've been giving them crap for the last couple, I was like, I can't let her do this unopposed when I've been giving them hell for 2 years, right?
Right.
So I'm literally sitting in there determined, basically, that I was going to run no party, but completely oblivious to the fact that I had to formally resign my affiliation before I could do so. So I wait until like the last hour to walk up the stairs with both of these forms in hand, and I asked them, did anybody qualify against Cynthia yet? No. I said, well, I guess I got to make sure she gets some competition. I throw down my stuff, and I get through the whole process, get to the thing. I've signed everything. They've taken my money. Mm-hmm. they go through that. Oh no, sorry, Mr. Harris, you're still a Republican.
Right.
Now, if you want to race over to the clerk's office and change your affiliation, you can make it back here. Then we can go ahead with this. And I was like, well, I guess that's just dumb luck for me. I'm gonna have to go against Van Rankin and Templet. But yeah, it was down to the money. If I had another $100 in my pocket, mm-hmm. I would have ran as a Republican against Cynthia, paid the party fees, because it wasn't really a lot of money. It was like the difference between it was $115 to run council at large, which is really a bargain. You pay the party fee of another $115. It's matching fees when you're dealing with parish and municipal matchings. When you run for that federal office, you're doing a state matching.
Right.
Rothschilds had to pay the matching to the 600. The same rule that you fell under was still in place last year, in that Rothschilds had to pay the filing fee, the qualifying fee of 600, and then he had to pay another 600 to the state fee. What they did is they more than doubled that number. They added on a sign recycling fee, and essentially, I mean, the quote. I mean, I say it every time at the council meetings: no invasions of the Constitution are so fundamentally dangerous as the tricks played on circumstances respecting themselves and their legal qualifications to legislate for the Union. If you can exclude in any way 800,000 registered other ugly voters, otherwise qualified, 25 years of age, 35 years of age, respectfully, right? There's 650,000 active, no party registered, unaffiliated, completely voters. That's you and me,
right?
Liddy, right? Completely set aside in a way, expelled from the opportunity to be our own representative in a manner that no Democrat or Republican suffers. Never mind how it even works against the citizen candidates like Rothschilds. He's in Orleans. There's only 24,000 Republicans in Orleans Parish. If he's going to try and get those signatures, he's got an itty bitty pool.
Right.
190,000 Democrats. Do you think that the Republican Party that set this up doesn't realize that they know that the Democrats are so concentrated and so, basically like herding cats? They're so diverse in their allegiances and factions that essentially they won't, the Republican Party won't ever suffer for nominated signatures getting a candidate to the primary, right? They're never going to suffer for it like Democrats will. It's just exponentially easier. The pool for Democrats to get those nominating signatures versus the Republicans is 190,000.
Right, and let
So
me just roll back a second there, because that's the second part of the problem of how the state of Louisiana, and which by state of Louisiana, Republicans completely control the state. So Republicans in the state have completely screwed the booch. I mean, I don't think the Democrats put up much of a fight either, because there's one thing that the Democrats and Republicans have agreed on, which is closing up the primaries instead of leaving them open, which we can get to that in a second, because I also am opposed to that. But the thing is that not only are people so again before this past legislative session or whenever these laws got passed, again, you could run and you could put up a filing fee as ugly as unaffiliated, green, libertarian, independent, whatever you are. You could still put up a filing fee, get on the ballot. Not anymore. Now, if you are not a Democrat or Republican, you have to get signatures. You have to get those signatures, and then if you're a Democrat or Republican, you could still get signatures, but you can also pay the fee, which then makes everybody else who's non-Democrats or Republicans makes those people all different than the ones that are Democrats or Republicans. And the other thing that, just to let the listeners know as to why we're talking about the differences in the population in each parish or whatever, or county for those people who don't live in Louisiana and haven't paid attention enough when I talked about this. If you are unaffiliated, green, libertarian, independent, whatever voter, you cannot get signatures on your petition from Republicans. You cannot get signatures on your petitions from Democrats. This is why I say, when I'm looking at this issue, that the Republican Party, the state of Louisiana, it has disenfranchised every single voter. Because let's say you are a Democrat, let's say you are a Republican, and you like John Hires. You want John to be on the ballot, and you want to sign that petition to get John. You can't do it as a Democrat. You can't do it as a Republican. You have to unregister your name and re-register, or not unregister, but you have to re-register yourself or change your party affiliation to one of those ugly candidates in order to be able to put your name on that sheet to basically say, yes, I want John to be that, or if I'm running, I want Dan to be that, and just to kind of say what John said. For the purposes of all of this, I have went ahead and changed my party affiliation in Louisiana so we can do this together and we can do this experiment together. I've changed myself from Democrat to no party now, and I am going to be having a petition for myself that I'm going to potentially be on. If I get enough signatures, I will be on the ballot for the 2nd Congressional District for the state of Louisiana as a no party voter. But again, I can't. As of right now, I can't even go to my wife. And when I print out those ballots, the signatures or whatever, the forms, I can't even go to my wife and say, "Hey, Cassie, will you sign this?" so I could be on the ballot. She would now have to go register or re-register or change her registration to being an unaffiliated voter, a no party or whatever. She could not sign my petition as my spouse because she's currently registered as a Democrat, and that's messed up. And that's what got me all riled up in talking about this, because that law. I tend to follow, not just federal but state laws. That law went right over my head. I completely missed it. When you told me about it, I was like, "Wait, does that mean?" You're like, "Yes." And does that mean? Yes. Wow, they completely screwed over.
It means almost all the worst things you can imagine, and nobody's saying anything about it, right? And it's baffling to me, and they're going to hear about it, day after tomorrow, council meeting. I'm going to be going full tribute to Al Morello, demanding the resignation and the dissolution of both these parties. They're in cahoots. It's an absolute cahoots. Neither one of them. The media is right alongside them. I demand all of them to resign. Man, I'm going to demand, if you know Mr. Al's line, I'm going to do what I can to summon his spirit, at least for a minute or two of the three that I'm afforded. That being said, this is no game, right? I mean, I like to play a game. I love me a game of poker. You give me a good worker placement game, I'm all about it. Well, in this game, we got to get ugly. That's all there is to it. Now, there are a few upsides to what they did, right? Because like we talked about, you can cross parish lines to fetch up these signatures now because they plan on screwing the Democrats so bad they got to leave the lines all open, give us the benefits of running for Senate. So there's a couple of advantages, but the timeline is the key. We got 35 days to go make this happen. I'm confident that we can get you 750. Just you and me working together in tandem, I'm thinking we can definitely get you 750. Whether or not I can figure out a way to get 2,500 is going to be kind of, reliant upon the public. I have had great, we're developing the sloganing, quit rewarding the failures with affiliation. That's it. Quit rewarding failure with affiliation. Get the fuck out of the fucking camps. They don't respect you. They've made your signature useless to 2/3 of the population.
Yep.
You're meaningless if you're settling for being there dropping the bucket. God bless you, but you're just a sheep. I mean, at this point, if you can't see this for what it is, there are already 800,000 ugly Louisianans we can appeal to. You've got 76. We've got 76,000 of them versus 24,000 Republicans. You got 76,000 in Orleans Parish. We got them on the list, right? If they vote election day, we got them.
So a couple comments in the chat. Let's go to a couple comments in the chat first. We got Big Hook, one of my friends up from the Great White North up in Canada. Says these third-party spoilers always funded by Republicans to steal votes from the Democratic candidate in a tight race. So the state's so gerrymandered when it comes to both the local party, local races, statewide races, or the state legislative races or whatever. And then, also the congressional races that the Republican Party of Louisiana has always, has basically made it so that they have the advantage regardless or whatever. So, I'm just going to be clear. I have no inklings of that I have any chance of pulling off any sort of victory if we're able to get enough signatures for myself. I'm not trying to whatever. But if I do win, I'm going to caucus with the Democrats. I mean, federally. I mean, that's what I would do. I have no imagination. I'm under no illusion that I'm going to be able to defeat Troy Carter in the general election. Now, because I'm now no party, I get to jump the primary process and skip right to the general election. That being said, it's still a very uphill battle. I've reached out to one or two people to see hey, if I did this, would you endorse me? Haven't heard back from that yet. Chad from Illinois, who is one of our more conservative people. So is the intention to stop a Dem or Republican from just swapping to no party after not having a chance in their own party? It's a stretch, but the only thing I can think of in good faith. I don't give them any good faith. I'm not saying that I don't believe that there's any good faith in this at all. I think the intention here is to make it so that you cannot have access to the ballot as a third-party candidate because they want to lock Louisiana down so tight for the Republican Party that nobody stands a chance. It's another reason why they flipped in the congressional races for Congress and Senate and some other races. They've closed it from an open primary to a closed primary, and as such, by doing that, you've made it so that again, only Republicans vote in the Republican Party, Democrats vote in the Democratic primary, and so you're basically going to get the more extreme candidates on both sides, which is then going to push everything more crazy. And then but then you're not going to be able to have a situation like, for example, in Louisiana, for the governor's races for 8 years, we had John Bel Edwards, a Democrat in a solidly red state, because there was enough blue dogs to be able to be okay, well, let's vote for whoever we want to, but then we're going to get this Democrat elected because the other people are too nuts, like Rasponi. However, go ahead.
I was there. I was in the room with Rasponi and Cassidy when they were running for re-election, going after the Senate. So that put me in the room where they were having those debates. And absolutely, there is a factor where the The Republican Party sees us as a way to certainly cut off any Murkowskis or anybody who would think to go unaffiliated to hit after a vulnerable Republican. It's more a show. I mean, we've talked about it. There is the Democratic Party is just fine losing. They have
Yeah.
no problem losing, and the only reason that the reason why Edwards wins is because Rasponi basically makes this thing where you've got this hard right faction that's going to go against the middle of the road. So whatever his name, I forget the doctor who ends up, the downside to me is they're all in cahoots because they all get appointments. I guarantee you right now, Cynthia Lee Shang has been playing bad cop just like Latoya did to pave the way for another celebrity broadcast journalist here in Jefferson Parish called Scott Walker. And it's just a show. She's going to get some 4-year appointment where she gets to rebuild her name and then run for attorney general. It's a pipeline. They want this pipeline to not suffer for any intrusions, no obstructions. So it's not about us winning. It's about having to work for the vote. They've got the turnout so down that, look, in a 2.5-month long campaign against Van Rankin and Template, which Template was the Democratic candidate. He was endorsed by them. He got to go to their party. I wasn't invited.
Mm-hmm.
I know Trey Muschin. I couldn't get an invite to the phone video with both of them, right? He was basically endorsed by the West Bank Democratic Party. That being said, just me and my partner knocking on one precinct in each of one of the 21 areas or whatever, precinct by precinct, we carved out 3.2% over 2,800 votes or something like that in a 2.5-month long campaign. This establishment that everybody wants to believe has so overwhelmed that you can't run without money, you can't do this without endorsements. Oh, we can. And until somebody shows, until we do that, it's not going to ever get better. There's no sign that the shit show of either one of these parties' reign is ever going to get better for a citizen. It's token gestures, lip service, and they're closing ranks and shutting down the field so you can't get on the course. I can't play Chicken Little. They put me on the moon.
And look, like what you said, the Democrats are fine losing. I mean, that's the only reason that the Democrats want to have their little fiefdom. So in any place where there is a Democratic majority, like New Orleans, maybe like Baton Rouge or East Baton Rouge, I think, Shreveport, I think, some other places around the city where you do have concentrations of Democrats and you have Democratic governments there. They are fine with just keeping that. They don't seem to ever really want to grow. The progressives in the Louisiana Democratic Party, huh?
They have no desire to win.
No desire.
I spoke to Byron Lee and Andrea Manuel personally at the council meetings, outside the council meetings. I had her number. I was in the precincts in District 1 campaigning on her behalf and couldn't get a voters list from her.
Right.
When Helena Moreno has yard signs out in Jefferson Parish, in District 5, Old Metairie, Jefferson Parish, and the people of Orleans can't figure out that that's your Republican candidate, there is no difference between them. And that's where it's like, okay, at this point, if you can't see the cahoots, go ahead and stick with your party allegiance. Go ahead and talk shit about a third party. You're out of the game. I'd rather tap in. Look, when I got my voters list, and I've got if the voters list is this thick of sheets of petitions, the amount of young persons, 26, 27 years old and under, is that big. If I could just get 2 of those people to every 10 to get one of their friends, this thing blows up. This is not a situation where a third party can't do this, especially a coalition of them. They're vulnerable, and that's why they're doing what they're doing.
Right. And one of the things with the Democrats too is I've talked about this on the show before, where you had the example back in when the Democrats challenged the incumbent Mandy Landry, who is a progressive Democrat. She was running as the incumbent. She's very popular in her district, but the Democratic Party was like, we're going to go, the chair of the party statewide and the Orleans Democrats all together, including Troy Carter, my sitting congressperson, all was like, well, we're going to endorse this person who has some very nefarious connections to some very, corrupt people. But we're going to get her to challenge. Now, she did terribly. I don't even think she may have won her own precinct, and that's it. I think there was one precinct that Madison O'Malley won against Mandy Landry. but because they didn't like her because she dared go to against in the state Senate seat against somebody who they wanted to endorse. Now,
Yeah.
you know, again,
That
they could have been targeting like if there are closer districts, they could have been running candidates in those other districts and focusing money towards those other districts to be like, hey, we might not expect you to win, but if you get out the vote, you're going to help our statewide candidates. But the Democratic Party leadership was too dumb to realize that, and instead they wanted to eat their own. They're happy keeping their fiefdoms. They're happy keeping the little places that they are situationally instead of trying to grow. So I've moved more and more left as I've gotten older. The old saying is, if you're not a liberal when you're young, you don't have a heart. If you're not a conservative when you're old, you don't have a brain. Like, to me, I'm the opposite. I'm like, if you don't keep moving more and more to the left because you don't see the shenanigans that these conservatives are doing, that to me shows you don't have a brain. But you can't sit here and just do the same thing over and over and again and expect a different result. Einstein, said that defined that as insanity.
Yeah.
So
at the end of the day, and it's kind of funny that you bring it up because I've had both the chairman and Byron Lee have both used that little saying on me, right? Because I go in there and everybody thinks I'm doing the same thing, and to some degree, you can see it a certain way and absolutely say that. Now I'm constantly changing what I'm saying. I'm constantly, trying a little bit of a different thing, but I get kind of, when I'm in there, I'm not scripted. I'm just going on what comes naturally. So I'm not, it is what it is. I fail. I'm not trying to succeed. I'm just trying to be a citizen, right? That being said, they do that. They said they came up with that line where, what's the definition of insanity? And they're trying to attribute to me. And I'm like, I really don't think they get the irony.
Right.
Because I'm the one who's pointed out the drinking game that is our council meeting is seconded by so-and-so, hearing none, so ordered. Insert fucking name here.
Right.
How many, if we had to have a shot every time I had to hear seconded by Scott Walker, hearing none, so ordered, nobody's getting out of there without a DUI. Mm-hmm. We're all going to jail. We're all drunk in public.
Right.
But, yeah, it's been an eye-opening. You might have thought that there was some kind of politics. It's not politics. It's just the cahoots. I mean, it is. The taxpayers are overwhelmed. Look, I mean, and you can talk about the conservatives, but, I'm there talking about the virtual representation that makes Orleans and Jefferson Parish enemies of each other inherently, right? In the fact that you got 6 state senators. We've got 7 in Jefferson Parish, but 4 of them disenfranchising each other. To benefit who? To benefit rural and moneyed Louisiana. It doesn't matter which party. Democrats can win for a few years, and then the Republicans are going to win, and they could change names. It won't matter. It's the same fucking interest.
And one thing that was interesting that I think I want to circle back on, because I think we kind of glossed over it a little bit, is the fact that in this year and this year only, they wrote a law in Louisiana. They wrote a law just for this set of elections. Which is because they're planning on hoping the Supreme Court rules in their favor to enable them to eliminate the 6th congressional district where Cleo Fields is right now and return it back to 5 Republicans and 1 Democrat, even though the state is a third Democrat, a third black. The state, the House of Representatives is supposed to be the house that belongs to the people, yet it's more and more becoming the house that belongs to the legislature.
It'd be a lot harder to do that if we had a ratio that we were familiar with and we addressed that every 10 years instead of having to vote for some fucking goddamn office I could never fulfill myself. What do you think?
Right.
We got this arbitrary number. Nobody even knows what it is. We just settle upon it. That's why I did this, but we won't even touch that tonight, right?
But my point was though is something that you brought up though, is that they don't know what the new congressional lines are going to be. So because they don't know what the 2026 congressional lines are going to be, they can't tell you have to get signatures from your own district because you don't know what the hell your district's going to look like at the end of the day. So they have basically, for this one time and one time only, act now. I'm in the New Orleans district. I'm in District 2, which is basically New Orleans before it actually snaked all the way up to Baton Rouge, whatever. people in Lake Charles, people in Shreveport, people in Monroe, people all over the state could sign a petition to get me on the ballot if they wanted to. Why? Because they don't know what the lines are going to look like, so they can't basically say. It would be too hard for them to go back through and comb through. Oh, well, they signed a petition back when he was in the district, but then now it's no longer the district because we're redrawing it. So, again, that is what it is.
It is what it is.
When it comes to the crotchet, those legal, the legal qualifications and the crotchet, which the combinations of the day, the passions of the day have given rise to in this one, yeah, basically they had to open it up, and it was easier to give every would-be House candidate, the benefits of the senatorial, approach than it was to try and specify any kind of thing legally otherwise, right? And it's just a matter of how can you legally write something that can be passed and suffer the least obvious objection. Well, I'll tell you what, part of me wants to set aside $2,500 just to show up there and qualify as a Jeffersonian Republican and tell them to drop the money and just tell them to go fuck themselves, right? And if they don't take the money, then I'm filing suit right there and then. Right. This shit will not stand, man. This arbitrary exclusion will not stand.
Oh, I think there are plenty of people there are plenty of people who could potentially have a lawsuit. I mean, I think why can't I sign this petition? Why can't I sign this petition if I'm doing this? Why can't my wife sign my petition? Why can't somebody who I really like these people, but yet I don't want to change my party affiliation. I shouldn't have to be able to jump through all these hoops just to sign a piece of paper when you never had to before. It's my understanding that you never had. They never basically said, because it used to be open primaries, so it didn't matter.
Yeah. Realize they have to go through this to verify affiliations.
Right.
They have to go through every signature to verify affiliations. Now they never had to do that before. All you had to go through is you got to be a registered voter. The information's got to be, and if they wanted to verify the signature, they could go that far, right? But now they got to go further, which we're paying for that. Yep. It's not like that gets done for free, right?
No, it costs more money. It's more man hours, more effort that they have to do, and more mistakes that could be made.
I'm the only Republican in this motherfucking parish, as far as I know, because I'm the only one demanding a frugal and simple government.
Well, you're an old school, small government conservative type Republican, not a. The
modern day shit. I can't. They're stuck on stupid. They're stuck on a I don't know, but they're stuck on a cookie jar that nobody's paying attention to. Now, whether I'm going to be faulting the rats that go after cheese to my left or the sharks that are eating up the chum to my right, I don't fault either one, right? In other words, so the Democratic Party that's willing to settle for the cheese that gets put out on the slab for the rats or whatever, they have that approach. It's a confusion of multitudes kind of approach, right? And the other side's got a tyranny of few. Well, the more, if you live in a city, you're gonna have a little bit more tolerance for confusion than you will tyranny. And I don't. That's just the way that it goes, I think. So you're not wrong for seeing the fault in the conservative tyranny. I have to go out there in the Central Parish and deal with hardcore, very conservative, ain't benefiting from any of that free shit you get in the cities, folk that
Right.
go, okay, I don't hate them, but why am I having to, it's just a different approach. They see it as a confusion and wasting, money that way. Comes down to we don't know how the power to do anything has been distributed. So we're so easily made enemies through factionalism. That's to me what has to be cut through first. We get through the fucking rules, then at least we get to know who the fuck we are. Right now we're just being led astray by two leaders that fucking play us against each other. And it's gotten so bad. They can't get more than 30% to show up for a statewide election. Think that through. Do you think 70% of the population wrong? Fuck no. And that's the hard part. I go out there to talk to everybody. I'm like, look, you got a reason to never have voted before. You got a reason not even to fucking register. You're the smart one. Carlin was right. It's the fucking people that are chronic voters that are the fuck offs. We keep reelecting these sons of bitches. That being said, we got to figure out how to correct for ourselves, and I think it starts with these kind of conversations and these kind of efforts. It's a grassroots thing, and I think it's working. I think I can demonstrate the percentages and the numbers for anybody who cares. I wouldn't keep doing it if I didn't see results.
Right. Chad in the chat goes, I like this dude. I wish to live in Louisiana. I'd support you both. So there you go. Unfortunately, we can, while we can cross parish lines and district lines or whatever. We can't unfortunately can't cross state lines.
Well, you know, some of my best conversations when I'm on TikTok, I've been into lives, and it's very tough going into lives. It's like, you know, it's a feeding frenzy of straw man fucking syndrome. But
Right.
you know, one of my favorite things to do is find out where other people are living, because, you know, for me, when I'm doing none of this federally, it's about making sure each state is got the representative power that they're due constitutionally. It says representatives' direct taxes shall be apportioned, not tri-portioned. When 12 states basically get one representative for 542,703 persons, but fucking 38 others got to suffer almost a 3-for-2 giveaway.
Right.
What the fuck? If I had the same ratio applied that gives Montana 2 representatives, here to Louisiana, we're due 8 representatives. Gerrymander that motherfucker. You're gonna gerrymander yourself out of a job eventually, and you know, you think that they're, you know, in all likelihood they're gonna go ahead and give black people one district. They don't have to though.
No,
They don't have to.
I'm fully waiting. If the Supreme Court says you can draw the lines to whoever you want, I'm fully waiting for there to be 6 Republican districts in the state of Louisiana.
There
Um,
absolutely will be. If
mm,
look, the only way that there's not going to be is if somehow there's an uprising with what we're doing that makes them have to go, uh-oh, right? And
right.
that's where that's why this third party effort, why this, you know, some outside influence is worth making, because at the end of the day, from one race to the next, Lauren Jewett's getting an early start on it. I'll give her. She might get to 30%. She's never going to force a runoff without a third party candidate. Never,
Mm,
never going to happen. Especially because they got close primaries.
right.
The only chance you have to make any of these races competitive is to at least qualify a third party candidate. You don't qualify a third party candidate, fucking take the year off. Wait, you might as well go to sleep till 2028, because you won't have a reason to vote in fall. You just
Right.
won't. And anybody who's paying attention understands that's basically what the Democrats have afforded them. And the next thing the Democratic Party is going to do is the heavy lifting that I've warned you about. The Democratic Party is going to be the one that introduces term fucking limits, and that's the dumbest fucking thing anybody's going to fall for. And the Republican Party hounded me, basically excommunicated me because I wouldn't swear an oath of allegiance to support term limits for Congress. Fuck off. You got to concede that the people can't elect their own fucking representative. Well, what the fuck's the point then?
Right, and rolling back to your other
Huh?
point about apportionment, I've made that argument too on this show. I've made that we absolutely do not apportion our the seats to Congress correctly
No.
at all. Like if we were going to change to what it should be, at the very minimum, we would need about 100 more seats in Congress, if
No,
not
no.
more.
I will tell you exactly what it is. I've done the math. It's 104. If you want to give Montana 2 representatives,
Right,
right, the highest number, and you can check the precedent on this. I can tell you about. I mean, I know the history. I got the story written down. Right. It begins. We fuck off in 1832. James K. Polk is the fucking chairman of the apportionment committee, and he jukes it to benefit a Jacksonian agenda, but allows for it's still one ratio. But instead of the 41,000, one representative for every 41,000 applied to each state's fucking population, he jukes it to 47,700 to favor Georgia and Tennessee, give them an extra representative, furthers that agenda, basically starts the fucking little, tit for tat shit show, right?
right,
By 1842, John Tyler, you can check his executive order. I've actually got it in print. I've got an original 1842 newspaper with the exposition titled as such from John Tyler in the New Hampshire Gazette, right? In there, he basically says he's not of a clear and decided opinion on the constitutionality. This was made hay over by John Quincy Adams at the time, but they can't impeach the fucker. They tried. He's the first president to be impeached. Not on that issue, because nobody was really. This is a time when they struggled, and they passed a rule to forbid at-large membership to the South, because the South is basically disenfranchising their population. So a lot of people have written papers about this regarding that.
right.
The end of at-large membership in the South in 1842 was a big deal.
Mhm.
What doesn't get any notice is fucking this deviation from apportioned representation into something other than the affordance of what they called then was moiety. And it's Daniel Webster employs a mathematician named James Dean. I can't fucking make this shit up, right?
Right.
And I've read all the records on this shit, because there's this guy that has an open source book on it up in He's up in Northern California anyway. He's got all of these, the open source book to all of the apportionment law that was ever passed historically. So you fast forward from that 1842 deviation with the introduction of moiety, you end up with the Civil War where they don't, nothing's done except the admission of states. The next time that's notable is 1872 with the admission of Nevada, and the North is basically doing this to keep its thumb on the South by giving Nevada 3 representatives, 3 electoral votes, 1 representative, 2 senators, right?
Right.
It's got less than 1/10 the population of its neighbor California. It's got 43,000 people in 1872, but it's given a full half of the power electorally as California with over 500,000 people. It's a cahoots basically to fuck the South.
Right. Well, one of the things that I would look at when discussing, the whole, when the founders came up with the formula for the Electoral College, and the difference in population, if you include the 3/5 compromise, which is clearly they did, was Virginia was the largest population state and was about 11 times the population of the smallest population state. I think either Delaware or Rhode Island, maybe both were very similar.
Rhode Island's the smallest, yeah.
And then you go over there, and then now you have Wyoming, that's with their 3, but then the state of California is 68 times the population of Wyoming. I don't know if the founders could have even fathomed having a state that was 68 times more than the population of the least populous state.
Yeah, it's because essentially there's 3. We are tribal. So what happens in 1929 is where this goes fucking totally off the fucking, that's where 1922 to 1929 is where we end up with what we're suffering to today, and it's called the Permanent Apportionment Act, and its method of equal proportions devised by a guy named E.B. Huntington, mathematician renowned for his axiom works in the early 1910s. He's employed by the Republican Party at the time so they can stay in control. Essentially, he comes up with a formula that will forever fuck us up, right? It's going to forever make sure that the smallest states end up inheriting more power than they're due constitutionally. And it doesn't even work in a way that benefits the small states necessarily predictably. In other words, it's going to fuck a couple small states in a way that's worse than even the big states. And I mean that so California, if afforded the same ratio as Montana, is due 20 more seats.
Right.
Works out to be less than a quarter of its delegation. Us, we're missing a quarter of our delegation. We're due 8 seats. We got 6. Right. But fucking Utah with 4 seats is due 6 seats. It's missing a full third of its delegation. Idaho with 2 seats is due 3 seats, fully missing a third. West Virginia fully missing a third of its delegation. That makes bigger kings and queens of the motherfuckers that steal that power, or not even steal it because they don't fucking know. No, I can't find any of these fuckers that actually understand this. So basically, they're wearing a crown that makes them corrupted. So I don't care how nice Steve Scalise is. I don't care how nice Troy Carter is.
Right.
They're corrupted by the crown they're made to wear, and we're the ones giving it to them. We're the ones piling it on. Every generation, every 10 years, we neglect this thing. It's made worse.
And now it's not even 10 years because now they're redrawing it every 5 because people want to do shenanigans.
Yeah, but we only can keep track of it every 10 years through the enumeration process. Right. That's when they must do it. Right. That's when the Permanent Apportionment Act's formula fucks us. Never mind the gerrymandering. See, the gerrymandering, the only reason the gerrymandering fucks us is because we've ignored virtual representation. So first off, every state, your state legislature, you've got 55 districts that are suffering from virtual representation out of 105 in the House. That, again, we're disenfranchised. We don't have, we're due 3 or 4 senators each that would serve only our interests. Instead, they're serving outside parishes' interests, which then become just moneyed interests. Right? It doesn't matter, party. This is about money. Money plays us against each other. And as long as we're suffering to a virtual representation, as long as a fraction of one parish can steal representative power from a fraction of the other parish, whether it's smaller versus the larger, by way of money or by way of manipulation or by way of just ignorance of the population because they're overwhelmed voting for taxation when they shouldn't. How the fuck do you vote for taxation you don't comprehend? And we're all doing it. There's a millage vote. 15% of the people are voting for fucking taxes, and they're all exempted. They're all frozen assessments. They're all fucking not paying them. The people that are paying our taxes aren't fucking aware that they are the ones who obliged to vote for them, right?
Right.
Am I wrong about any of that?
No, not one bit.
I wish I could find somebody to point to me how I'm wrong so I could just go to work on pianos for the rest of my fucking life.
Oh, do you work on pianos?
Dude, I just fucking delivered a piano for this cat named Donnie, and he's made some, like, he's got a hit, right? He's a local
Right,
fucking cat here. He's in the studio over by D-Max, right? My partner, Max Villamoret, is a local talent. He did all the videos for Scott Walker. So
right.
he's working. Like, he's doing videos. You'll see it. You see his shit.
Now,
He's
interrupt you
apparently
for
working at,
interrupt you for a second. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, Scott Walker was used to be on WDSU, the NBC affiliate down here. Used to be on the news here before he ran and became part of the Jefferson Parish Council. But everybody should know him if you follow internet memes because he's the guy. He's one of the two reporters in that one video from Alabama where they thought they saw a leprechaun in a tree. Um, So every time I see him, I gotta go, who all sees a leprechaun say yeah? And he always laughs at that. But yeah, it's everybody should know who he is simply because he was in that video. But the reason I ask you is because at my
yeah.
mother-in-law's house, we have a player piano like with all the piano rolls and everything that probably needs a little bit of repair. But if you know anybody who wants a piano that wants to buy it, reasonably priced, I'd be more than happy to sell it as well.
If I didn't have 12 pianos in the house right here, I'd go ahead and market yours for you. Unfortunately, yeah. Well, we'll talk after this 35-day ballot
Yeah,
breaks, right?
that works.
We got first things first, and I was like, when Max called me, I'm pretty sure he was trying to do me a favor, give me a little work.
Hmm.
And so, it's interesting. Some people are technicians, some people are jack all trade people, right, kind of thing. And if you're the one that's the jack, that's got to be the one that makes things kind of move, right? You got a different way of looking at the world than the technician, the master, the one who's got to be the perfectionist, the master of the thing. Like, you got to spend a lot of time to be real good at. And I don't fall either one. You could be either side of it. I don't even know where I fall, probably on the other. But anyway, Max hits me up to do this piano move in Mid City,
Right.
and he eventually gives me the number of the guy. Now, I'm like, first floor, first floor. Well, it's going to go first floor to the second floor. I said, well, send me a picture at least of the second floor so I know I'm facing. And he said, well, you got a big wide stairwell. I said, all right. And it's like, he's got to get it done quick. And da, 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 da. All right. I've got a couple cats. I'll figure it out. By the time I get it loaded up, this is yesterday evening. I get it loaded up, get over to this 530 studio over there by D-Max off of, Norman C. Francis.
Hmm.
Walk in there, and Richie, the engineer that's receiving me there, we turn the corner. I look up and I'm like, oh crap! Not only is it's a stretch up, which length and steepness that has a lot to do with what we're trying to handle, but there's a landing.
Hmm.
15 feet up, there's a landing and a pivot for another 5 foot stairwell. I'm like, oh no, no. This is a whole different, like, it's a whole structurally, logistically, it requires a whole new approach, whole different thing. And God bless these technicians, but the one piece of information I asked for that was important, I didn't care about anything else, but that landing. And man, my back is hurting. But
Uh,
yes, we do move pianos, and we make, as long as I can get a piano into playing hands, it's what I would rather spend the rest of my life doing.
Nice. I do have Steve from over across the pond in Scotland says, John, your honesty would make Mike Johnson's head explode. So there you go. So you got some fans, I guess, growing.
You know, uh, Johnson, and this is where I take exception with some of these jackasses that are holding these offices, because Johnson, you know, I've listened to him, and every now and he will say something that doesn't offend me. He will
Mm,
tell you, he will straight up talk about how we're a republic and not a democracy. He's got balls enough to say that, but he has no clue what that republic actually, that form translates to. And that's where it's like, it's just lip service on my right. They'll give me lip service, but none of them understand how they're thieves as well. They're happy thieves.
well, they only say that. The Republicans and Mike Johnson, whatever, will only bring that up and say that when Democrats are saying that we live in a democracy. They'll
Yeah.
never correct Donald Trump when Donald Trump says we're going to live in a democracy.
Oh, yeah, no. It's all a matter, it's semantical convenience. It's
Right.
they can play to their base for something. But yeah, I take as a Jeffersonian Republican, a real fucking Republican, right? That Republican form, we're guaranteed that. Democracy isn't mentioned, but if you don't understand what that form is, well, then you might just settle for something made arbitrary, and that's where we're at. That's what the method of equal proportions did to us in 1929. It made this basically arbitrarily driven. One state from the next is going to arbitrarily get fucked every 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And now I could tell you, we could extrapolate it because the formula is kind of, it is a formula. So, if you could get the estimates of the census, you could tell who's going to get fucked next to worst.
Right.
But it's all just stupid. The idea that California between 2010 and 2020 could gain 2.6 million people and lose a fucking representative, while Mississippi lost 3,000 people and held theirs? What the fuck?
Right. It doesn't make any sense.
Shut the fuck up.
Nope.
It's insane.
And then some sides gonna be like, oh well, the Californians lost population, they moved to Texas. No, they gained population. Stop it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And California has lost some population since then. In other words, there is a waxing and waning. Every so often the state loses population, but historically it is rare for any state to lose population over a 10-year period. It happens only to a few states every so often. We had a rash of it with West Virginia and Illinois, I think, losing population, and Mississippi. Like, you had 3 or 4 states this last 10-year cycle, and we may be getting to a point where we do have, we're brushing up against a critical, carrying capacity kind of thing. Environmentally speaking, there's a point where increasing your population doesn't improve, and it works against population growth. But it's people, we get fed a story, and if you want to be right or wrong about a story, or right or wrong about what you want to define as truth, unless we're talking about the laws of physics, I say this time and again, expand or contract a field of data, and I can make anybody right or wrong about anything.
Mm-hmm.
I just it just doesn't fucking matter.
Fair enough. All right. So, is there anything else you want to talk about the whole ugly things or whatever? I mean, I'm sure I will share once we have all the websites up and running or whatever. I'll absolutely be sharing the websites, wherever. But anything else you wanna kick in about what's going on with the ridiculousness in Louisiana?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll touch a couple more things just so we can leave people with where we're what we're leaping on right now. The website's No More Party for, basically that's where we've got the group of them. I need your picture, and we can put a bio up on there too, unless you want to sale on your website. I see this as an agglomeration, so whoever's got the wherewithal to do this with their own infrastructure, do it. Essentially, I've set this up so if I can help anybody, or we can collaborate in some way that makes sense to do so. As far as the website's nomoreparty.com. There's going to be contact information for everybody. Expect to have yours up there so people can either find a way to schedule a meeting with you. Either, if we can set up an event for you, we're going to try and do this in any way we can. The idea was to hit open mics. Mm-hmm. I've been working with a couple guys on a musical related to this shit. So, I mean, I can go, I don't have a problem taking it out to the streets if we got to. What we have going on for voters list. So if anybody was a ugly voter, if you're already ugly like we are, you're already rejected the 2-party shit show. Well, if you're in the Metro New Orleans area and you voted on election day and for District 1 or 2, then we have you already populated on a petition to be signed. And they're already pretty much prepared for the 4 candidates we have at this point. Yourself, myself, Liddy Rodman, Glass, and Mary Stevenson, who's a Mardi Gras Indian over there in the Lower Garden District. So, reach out, contact, text, send us a message, whatever it takes. We're going to be getting out into the streets. Probably, like I told you, we're going to hit precincts that this campaign's already kind of done well in. So, get to the website and we'll just keep pushing. And it's a 35-day ballot blitz. Mission improbable.
All right, well, that sounds great. We'll get you back onto the show maybe at the start of the year, see if we can check in and see how things are going with everything, and we'll go from there. But thank you again so much for A, organizing all this stuff, B, letting me know about the thing that I missed, and C, coming on the show and helping to educate the people on here as to what is going wrong in Louisiana and how potentially we're trying to fix it.
As wrong as it is, you discussed a few of the advantages that we have, and I really do believe that at some point you can only go so far with the American people. And in the good sense of them, that best army thing. I don't know. There's something in there. Anyway, man, you have a wonderful evening, man. It's great to chat with you.
All right, thanks. You have a great one as well. Talk to you later, John.
All right, man. Y'all take care.
All right, that was John Heyer. Wait, there we go. That's the right one. Appreciate you having on the show. And again, we will circle back with John at some point in a later date. Thank you, everybody, for being a little patient, I guess, with my no opening intro, I guess, for the show. I mean, I had the intro music, but just to be able to, say, hey, available and atrocious every game over on the Twitch, and a whole bunch of people over on YouTube that have not said hello to you. We got Jolie, at least one half of the mod squad. I haven't seen Aaron pop in yet. I got Jeff from Uranus. You got Josh, Bethany, Steve from across the pond.
Scottish, it's crap.
You got Manda. Good to see you, Manda. Suzanne, Bethany, Petrazi. If I happen to miss you, it's just because I'm scrolling kind of quickly just to kind of get to some of the other topics I want to talk today. Obviously, we had Chad. Big Hook is in the chat as well. Jan Morgan, Jackie, Mike, Tim. I think I saw Tim said something about nobody buys pianos, and Cassie, my wife, had said something about that as well, about how we don't have a lot of people don't. It's hard to sell a piano, but for a second, I had somebody at the estate sale who seemed to be interested in it, but never came back. So we're gonna try and maybe push it on whatchamacallit. Let's see. Tim goes, he was okay, Dan. All right, fair enough. And look, I mean, he is absolutely committed to his cause, and more power to him for it. And he's a good guy, great poker player. I mean, it's tough for me to beat him in poker. I did finish. I actually went and played poker on Friday the other day with some friends of mine, and he was there. I finished second, and my friend Larry, whose house it was at, finished first. The fix was in anyway. But yeah, it's. I mean, the point he raises is a good point. Oh, there's one other point I think I did forget to bring up, which I don't know if this is a negative or not. I just think it's odd. This is an odd thing. Simply, why is this not working? One of the things is that if you are active duty military and you qualify for office, you don't have to pay a fee. Like, I don't know why that's the case. I don't know why you would have to not pay a fee for that particular thing. I mean, I get, making things easier for folks in the military. I mean, making it easier to qualify, sure, but I don't know. It just seems odd that it would just create another section of humans with different rules. Everybody's having different rules as to how they can get on the ballot, and to me, it just makes it more and more likely for the people who are Republicans to retain control. And that's the thing that I think pissed me off the most about this whole thing as it pertains to the rule changes. And, again, if you came into the show late, just to explain why we had John on the show, we were talking about the uglies, the unaffiliated, the green, the libertarians, and the independent voters, people who have, who are not Democrats or Republicans in the state of Louisiana. The Louisiana Republican Party, who is control of the governorship, they're control of the legislature, they basically said, if you're a Republican and a Democrat, you can gain ballot access by paying money to the state, and that will get you on the ballot, or you can sign a petition. But if you're not one of the two major parties, you cannot get on the ballot by paying funds. You have to go. And one of the things I didn't bring up with John that I wanted to bring up was simply the fact that if you are somebody who's not a Democrat, who's not a Republican, and you want to run for office, but let's say you have a disability that prevents you from door knocking, whatever, prevents you from going out there and doing as much work as maybe someone else could potentially do, seeking signatures, guess what? To me, this new law is kind of ableist, because it's basically telling you, well, no, you have to go door to door. You have to go figure out how to get those signatures. You have to collect those signatures. Screw you. We don't care about you. Because they want to keep control. They want to keep their own control. And the best way they're going to keep control is by making sure that more and more people lose ballot access than should have. So it's another attempt at usurpation of power by the Republican Party here in Louisiana. And now look, I've been registered no party before, back when the Louisiana Democratic Party endorsed unrepentant convicted felon Edwin Edwards for Congress. I went no party because I got fed up. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to be on the left. That doesn't mean I'm not going to support the Democratic Party nationally. It doesn't mean any of that. I'm still always going to be on the left, a progressive voice, I'm still always going to be, that type of person, that type of person politically. It's just in Louisiana, with the exception of being able to vote in party primaries, state, it doesn't matter. Your party affiliation literally does not matter. And it doesn't define who I am as whatever. Now, I may very well flip back to a Democrat after this whole thing is over. We'll see. But I felt that this thing was worth a shot. And hey, at the end of the day, if you see Liberal Dan Zimmerman on the ballot, maybe that might get a few more listeners on the show as well, right? So there's everything. Oh, I did see Impeccable Living earlier as well. So I forgot to do the. Oh my! But he may be left off to go do some gay stuff, right? Because he loves to do gay stuff. Yeah, I think he did pop in just to say hey, but I forgot to. I didn't get to do the oh my simply because of the fact that I wanted to not distract from the conversation that me and John were having. Of course, it did throw a little
It is what it is.
When he said that. Yes, Big Hook, exactly. Angus King and Bernie are both independents who caucus with the Democrats. Although Angus King, I'm pissed off at now because he's one of the cowards that refused to stand up against the Republicans and instead voted to end the shutdown without having any sort of guarantees on passage of the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act. So, hey, Aaron, good to see you. Thank you for joining. I'll play your air horn. Don't listen. Don't have your volume up too much. Anyway, that's for Aaron. Had to do that for Aaron. And of course, Jolie.
I like turtles.
Anyway. So yeah, the shenanigans that these Republicans are doing are absolutely absurd. It's nuts. It's crazy. I don't know if y'all saw this yet or not. There was an individual. Her name is Crystal Wilesey or Wilsey or whatever. She worked at Cinnabon up in Minnesota. I believe it's in Minnesota. She worked at Cinnabon. Apparently, two Somali individuals came up to the Cinnabon. Now, there's claims as to whether or not they were harassing her. There were some questions as to whether or not she felt like she was being okay because she wasn't wearing like hijab or whatever. They weren't modestly dressed or whatever working there. I'm like, it's none of your business. Don't worry about it. But this individual got angry as an employee or whatever, and then started dropping the N-bomb. Now, I'm not going to play this video because I don't want to play the N-bomb on my channel. That being said, she freely said, and all of these people on like Twitter, all of these conservatives on Facebook, whatever, they're like backing her. There is a crowdfunding effort to try and get her money, and she's raised like 50 grand already. Because she got fired for using the N-bomb, and they're like, oh, well, they were harassing her. They were being mean to her. So I understand it. I'm like, you understand it. I have been mad at black people before. Just their blackness didn't come into play as to why I was mad at them, but there are people who are just a-holes who happen to be black, and whatever, because skin color doesn't prohibit you from being an a-hole. Never once in any problems that I've had with any person who is a black person, I've never once been like, oh, I'm angry enough now, so I'm justified to drop the N-bomb. No, that has never happened once in my life whatsoever. I've never gotten so angry that I was like, well, now I feel justified. I'm going to use the N-bomb now. But according to these clowns, according to these racist assholes that are, sitting there, having her back, guess what? They're like, oh, I totally understand why you use it. I was like, okay, if you can totally understand why she did that, then that means you're a racist too. F off, bigot. So there's that. There's also another story that I talked about before that I hadn't quite yet gotten to. I don't know if you remember the DoorDash girl story. There was a woman who she was told by her customer from DoorDash that they wanted the food dropped off at the front door, which required her to climb upstairs, go to the front door, drop the bag there because that's where the person wanted the food dropped. Well, he was laying on his couch that was in full view of this young woman, pants around his ankles, so she could see everything, and you can't convince me. It is my firm opinion that this guy did this perfectly. if he's so drunk that he passed out, how is he sober enough to order DoorDash? If he's so drunk they didn't realize he left the door open, how did he get home from the bar he was supposedly at? And the cops believed his story. He said, oh, I was out drinking and I was passed out on the couch. And they were like, oh, he was passed out on his couch drunk. Did you take his blood alcohol content? Did you determine how drunk he was? No. There's no evidence that he was drunk. There was just him saying that he was drunk. I don't believe for a second that this guy was inadvertently left the door open, inadvertently dropped his pants, inadvertently was so drunk and just was laying there. And yes, she took a picture of it, and yes, she posted the picture on TikTok. I don't think anybody saw anything in that picture. I don't think it exposed his genitalia or whatever. But that being said, she now has 2 charges against her in court because the police make it easy for people to get away with sex crimes. And to me, this should have been considered a sex crime. Exposing yourself, in my opinion, purposefully to somebody, even from inside your house. She lives in New York State. New York State specifically states that if you are inside your house and you take certain actions to expose yourself to people outside of your house, that is still a violation of the law. Yet the police, yet the prosecution has all taken his side and are now blaming her. And that just goes to show that we still live in a patriarchy. We still live in a rape culture. We still live in a time where people will just believe men when they say whatever it is that they want to say, to justify their actions and to get away with the shenanigans that they get away with. But yet you won't believe a woman who says that she was harmed. She did not open the door, Chad. There is no video evidence that she opened the door. The door was wide open. She did not open the door. Not one bit. I have not. If you can show me an actual video of her opening the door, I will retract that statement. She did. There is no video out there that says that. There are people who claim it. She never did it. There's no, and until I see evidence that she did it, I have no reason to believe that she did it. Simple as that. Asmongold did a whole show, and whatever. I have seen tons of videos on TikTok about this. I'm sure there's stuff on YouTube as well. I mean, I talked about it on here on YouTube. Unless I can see the actual ring cam footage that these dudes who were defending, so dudes and pick-me's who were defending this guy and who were going after the DoorDash girl, if there is video evidence of it, show it. But no one has been able to show the video evidence showing that she opened the door herself. He left the door wide open with his pants around his ankles. Simple as that. If he would have done the same thing in the middle of a public park, this would be a whole different story. But he set, in my opinion, a trap was set. He wanted to get away with flashing. Just like people who flash. People get their jollies by forcing people to see things that they don't want to see. How many guys have you heard about sending unsolicited pictures of their junk? So many people will do that. And unfortunately, in some places, it's now becoming a crime. It should be a crime everywhere. But they will make excuses. Oh, I didn't mean to do it. Oh, it was a mistake or whatever, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I was drunk. I'm sorry, Your Honor, I was drunk, so therefore that should excuse my horrible behavior. So, no, that's not. There have been there's been photoshopped pictures where they're like, oh, well, here's the picture of the door, but it was like they chopped off some of it to make it look like the door wasn't as open as it already was. So, let's see. See, he should come on a couple hours earlier for those of us that it's too late. I think he's missing on a lot of viewers. Who is missing out on viewers? See, I think I missed that point. Again, you are feel free to, if you find that video, send me a link to the video and I will watch it, Chad. I will watch that video and find Especially if you can send me with the timestamp where it shows the door being opened. Absolutely. Send that to me. I'll change my mind. I'll retract. But every single time somebody is asked, like on TikTok or whatever, for the video of showing her opening the door, no one can ever provide it. Why? Because I don't believe such a video exists. Yeah, Dean, exactly. It's not just trench coats anymore. Big Hook, ring cameras are being used by ICE. Get rid of them as a tool of the fascist, racist Gestapo. Get an independent one or an encrypted line. I don't have that. I actually have another one. Yes, my only problem is that I stopped paying for the service to actually record it on cloud storage. I have to try and get this to work, to be able to save the videos locally on my little hub here, and for some reason the hub doesn't work very well. But yeah, I don't have Ring. So Trucker John's in the house. Good to see you, Trucker John. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you as always. Oh, I did have one thing I wanted to talk about. We now have things set up where, let's see, is this, no, that's not it. Here we go. Here is a link there. Here is a link there. That is the link to my Discord. You can join the Discord. There are Discord channels that'll be available for everybody. There are also Discord channels that are only going to be available for people who are liberal Danimals, people who are subscribers over on Twitch, members over here on YouTube, or liberal Dan patrons. I figured that out. I set that up so that now we have the ability for you to, you will have access to the Danimal chat. There is also a video chat room in there that I set up. Haven't used it yet, but there's a video chat room where we potentially will start using for the live versions whenever we start doing Liberal Dan After Dark. So that's slowly in the process as well. But if you want to join the Discord is in both chats right now. Let's see, XNF. Funny that you try and hurt people with your words and pretend to be morally superior. Can I have an example, XNF, please? Let me know. Thank you. Because I'm interested to know who is trying to hurt people with your words and pretending to be morally superior. Because if you're hurt by my words, that's on you. But let's see. Let's see other things to bring up. There is a new video there is a new version of the video for the War on Christmas. I was able to create more images for it. I mean, people hate AI. I used AI to be able to get those images to be able to make it look like Fox News is talking about the terrible things that they talk about in the video that I have, or in the audio. So that is new. That is up. I shared that. It's live on liberaldanradio.com, which is the YouTube channel. It's also shared to Facebook, Twitter, and Blue Sky as well. So if you want to share that video, especially because it's the holiday season, please share that video. Make sure to spread it far and wide, especially if if you enjoyed, you want other people seeing it. Helps the show out. So I'm not understanding what I was talking about. You did it again. In not understanding what I was talking about, you did it again. I don't know what you're talking about. And again, I'm not pretending to be morally superior to you. I'm just saying that if you're hurt by my words, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, what is it? Sticks and stones may break my bones. Now, I mean, if you're talking about the N-bomb thing, that's a completely different thing altogether. But again, I don't know when you made that comment. I missed it. So instead of trying to say that I did it again, why don't you just say what I did in the first place? That might be easier to deal with. Chad goes, I freaking love AI. Between ChatGPT and Copilot, I can do the work of 4 people. Again, AI has made my job much easier, especially when it comes to splitting up clips for the show. So I'm able to do that. So it helps me out a good deal. And it also, Jolie goes, Tommy on Political Punk. Yeah, Political Punk when I was working on the end of my War on Christmas video last night, I was popped up on YouTube and I'm like, wow, Political Punk is up at 2 o'clock in the morning. Jesus. But look, He gets more followers and subscribers and viewers than me. So he must be doing something right and apparently I'm not doing enough right because my growth has stagnated. So, as Trump says,
it is what it is.
Thank you, Donnie Boy. What else to talk about today? Oops, Dan did it again. Oops, Dan did it again. I said some mean words. Morally superior. Jolie usually comes on around 2 a.m. my time and goes till 5. Yeah, I noticed him up that late. I said hello. I popped in and said hey, but yeah. There's really nothing I could do I'm never going to be up at that time for the most part. So, yeah, but look, it's working for him, right? I mean, let's pull it up real quick. Yeah, I mean, he has 75,000 subscribers. I mean, I think he started off gaming before he flipped to politics. I think some of it came to gaming, but again, he's clearly doing something right. He has 75,000. I still have just under 1,300. So it is what it is, right? I'm sorry, Trumpy.
It is what it is.
Thank you. So you were doing fine. It's because most of your audience watches other shows at other times and come here when it's over. I think a day or time switch was boost the train out. But look, I had Wednesdays. Wednesdays was my time. And then somebody decided that they wanted to go live at the same time I went on Wednesdays. So not much I can do about that. I shouldn't have to switch that. And I work a full-time job, and I can't stay up too late. I can't start the show any earlier. So, I guess I'm hosed when it comes to that. But, the one thing that everybody can do is make sure to go on my videos, comments. Again, according to Riverboat Jack, who's currently live now too. But again, I started watching Riverboat Jack well after I started doing this on here. So, according to Riverboat Jack, the best thing you could do is leave comments on videos, and not just commenting on the live videos, but comments on posted videos as well. So if you want to help the show grow, the best thing you could do, according to at least Riverboat Jack, to help the algorithm is to go do that. And if you haven't followed Riverboat Jack, please go follow Riverboat Jack and tell him Liberal Dan sent you, right? Nefarious enough, this channel should have 100,000 subscribers. Your mouth to whoever's ears. So, yes, I know, bro. Folks have stepped on your junk. Yep, and not in a way that I consented to, at least, right? Appreciate you, Chad. Thank you so much for that. Riverboat Jack is great. I do enjoy Riverboat Jack as well. And actually, I used the term. I told the people in their chat, "Hey, like the chat. It helps the algorithm because Al Gore needs more rhythm." And like, that's great. That's brilliant. Can we use that? I'm like, sure, but attribute it to me so I can get more people hopping on the Liberal Dan train, right? XNF. Do you ever talk about things that aren't established political dogma? So you're not going to answer my question about what I did to try and hurt people with words. Instead, you're trying to then talk to me about, do I ever do things that aren't established political dogma? I mean, this is a political radio show, right? I mean, I am talking about political stuff. I mean, that's what I do. Do we talk about some other issues that aren't political? Sure, we have done that in the past. We'll probably do it again in the future. But, I mean, clearly there are a lot of people who are interested in it because there are other channels that are doing, have more subscribers than I do, right? Thank you, Jolie, for getting the link for Riverboat Jack. Appreciate you. You realize you haven't been listening long enough to Liberal Dan Radio talk from the left. That's right, to know that I have original ideas, that I come up with some stuff that are original, that are new, that I come up with many different ways to state my point, and I also have said things that I've never heard anybody else say before, because again, if I thought that I was only going to be regurgitating what other people say, I wouldn't do this. There would be no reason for me to do this, but I think I do bring up things that other people don't say. So maybe you should listen more, and you'll find those things that I say that are different from the other people that are out there, the other pundits that are out there. So, I mean, I'm literally sitting here as a liberal leftist progressive who basically, bashing both parties because I don't like what they've done here in Louisiana. So, So do I have to go and think of every single unique or original idea that I came up with in order to satisfy? Or maybe you should just listen more, watch more, pay attention. If you did that, you'll find it. It'll be there. Or head over, since you're on Twitch, head over to my YouTube channel and check out all the videos that I have over there. And you'll see that, in the many different ways that I am different. But if you're just here to, bash, then, bash away, fine. It helps the algorithm too. Gives me something to talk about. But, if you go over to the channel, you will find stuff that other people aren't talking about. So, Dean, I don't believe Dude lost his mind. I don't know. I do miss Dude. I think he was a good show, but so anyway, let's scroll on back to see if I missed anything else. What was it? What was it that I said? Has Hal reached that milestone yet? I don't know if Hal has gotten that way up. Dean, I would have loved to be able to pick up my Dude's viewers, but they probably went to Carbon and other people. So, but again, I could start. I can't justify paying for ads, and pay. It's like YouTube has been like, hey, promote this video, and you can get so many views or whatever. You can get so many things, and I'm like, yeah, but are you going to show it to the people who need to see it, who haven't seen my channel yet, or are you going to show it to people who've already seen my channel, who don't need to be told to come watch Liberal Dan Radio Talk from Life? That's right. It's one of the biggest problems I have with online advertising, and why I'm very hesitant to pay for online advertising, simply because of the fact that, let's say I want to go to Disney World. I want to go to Disney World. I go make plans for Disney. I go book my hotel room. I go buy my tickets. I make all of my plans. I get everything set up. And then everything is done with the planning of Disney. I have nothing else that I have to do. And that's when I start seeing ads for Disney World. So why would I pay for ads to boost my show if I think that they're only going to go to people who are existing viewers and not go to people who, would be potentially new viewers who might be interested in the things that I have to say? So, XNF, I didn't encourage you pestering me. I encouraged you to tell me what you think that I did that was hurting people with words and pretending to be morally superior. I asked you for that example, and you couldn't give me that. Yet you demand my time for me to tell you all the things that I think of that are different from everybody else. I tell you one thing that I think that I'm different from a lot of people is the whole Israel, Palestinian, Hamas, Gaza issue over in the Levant area, because I think my views on that tend to be much more thought out than a lot of the people who are firmly one, firmly the other. I take a much more, this is a word I'm looking for that I'm completely blanking on right now, but the way I approach the issue, a little more pragmatic, I think, than a lot of other folks that are out there. And pragmatism is not the word I was looking for, but I'm not thinking of the word I was looking for. So anyway, hey Susie, good to see you. Let's see. As far as I'm concerned, Hal Sparks should be as big as Brian Tyler Cullen or David Pac-Man. Well, I'm in 100% agree with you there, Trucker John. All I see with Brian Tyler Cohen, it's annoyed me that when he'll be post something that's breaking news. Oh, that happened last year. Why is that breaking news? Why are you saying breaking news? It's something that happened last year that you're sharing. It's not even a memory of something. You're not even sharing a memory of yours. But yeah, Hal absolutely should be that high and higher than those folks. Speaking of Brian Tyler Cohen, just for shits and giggles, I did decide to put in my application for their that whole partner program thing, or whatever the program thing that got a big stink about, because people were complaining about how they were only getting centrist and this, that, the other. And so I was like, all right, well, let me give it a shot. I'll see if I can apply and see if I can come in there as a progressive left type of voice. And nope, I didn't get approved for the program. So, oh well. But they said I could apply again. So whatever. As old Donnie Boy says,
it is what it is.
Can I ask you to elaborate without it being interpreted as a demand? I just elaborated. My issue, the way I approach the Israel-Palestinian issue is one of the ways that I feel that I bring a more unique view to the issue of that particular issue than a lot of other people that are out there. So there's one. But again, you still didn't tell me exactly what it is that you think I was doing when it came to name calling or when it came to me pretending to be morally superior. Although in some cases, I don't pretend to be morally superior. In some cases, I know that I'm morally superior. If you're continuing, if you are supporting the podcast, or not the podcast, if you support the crowdfunding of the woman who dropped the N-bomb at the Cinnabon up in Minneapolis or up in Minnesota, if you support that person, if you contributed to those funds, I don't have to pretend to be morally superior than anybody who has contributed to that crowdfunding attempt. I know I'm morally superior to anybody who's helping out somebody who was so racist that they couldn't help but shout the N-bomb just because people were being harassing of her, or she felt she was harassed. And look, maybe she was harassed. We didn't see the whole video, so maybe very well there is, criticism to be levied at the other folks who were harassing her out of her job because they should not be harassing her on the job. But as soon as she dropped that N-bomb, guess what? F you, you're a racist, and I know I'm morally superior to you when it comes to that. I know I'm morally superior to anybody who's giving money to that crowdfunding attempt. So there's that, right? Dean, it's true, Dan. You are better than some people. A lot of us are. Yeah. If you're continuing to support this administration, actions, by bombing boats, the bombing of those two of the boat, where we haven't seen the rest of the video, where the two people were sitting on the capsized boat and they took them out too. I mean, how is that not murder? How is that not murder? To me, it's simple. It's murder. There's no reason to have fired any other shots. That boat was incapacitated. They could have went and rescued them, and then they could have then done some investigation. If they were involved in crimes, they could have arrested them or whatever. But, the conservatives are out there trying to say, oh, liberals or leftists are more concerned about the people being, who are narco-terrorists. They're more concerned about the so-called narco-terrorists, getting killed in open waters than they are about the people who got shot, the National Guards persons who got shot in D.C. I'm like, no. The National Guards people who got shot in D.C., they've arrested somebody. There's going to be a criminal case. And as long as Pam Bondi's Department of Justice doesn't screw it up, they'll probably get a conviction and he'll be sent up the river and he'll be punished for his crimes. Of course, it is the Trump administration, Kristi Noem, who might not be long for her position apparently, but they're the ones that allowed that guy, the shooter, the alleged shooter, I guess, to get asylum, because they're the ones who granted asylum to somebody that they claimed was unvetted. But there's resolution with that issue. So why would I spend more time talking about the guy that shot the two National Guards people when clearly there is work being done to punish the person who did it? Instead, why wouldn't I then talk about the murder of the people in boats that we don't know that they have drugs on them? So Chad, also why a lot of intelligent people are more prone to substance abuse. Can happen, I guess. Because the Trump court challenges are obvious attempts at manipulation of the language and playing dumb, wasting the court's time and to delay. Yeah, pretty much. Especially with that idiot that they have, making the Solicitor General making the arguments in front of the Supreme Court. It's like, it grinds my ears to listen to him. It's just, ugh. I'd rather listen to RFK Jr. And that's saying a lot. Oh, speaking of that, Louisiana's current Attorney General, or previous Attorney General, was Ralph Abraham. Ralph Abraham once ran for Congress, or maybe I said it, I don't know. Ralph Abraham is a doctor in Louisiana. He was the Louisiana Surgeon General, but he got picked by not Elon, by RFK Jr. to come work for the CDC. So now we had an opening for the CDC slot. So now we've got another doctor who from Baton Rouge who has now been chosen to be the new Surgeon General. Who is this new doctor? This person is somebody who was on the CDC vaccine advisory panel and one of the people that voted against giving infants the hepatitis B vaccine when those infants are in high-risk situations and need the hepatitis B vaccine. Like, how dumb are you? This is a doctor who's an OBGYN who got, I guess, her degree outside the country, I guess, or whatever. I don't know. I don't know all the details about where she got her degree from, but I heard it's from outside the country. She also touted somebody for ivermectin, and she's a huge vaccine skeptic. So that's where we are in Louisiana. We are heading, to the very bottom of the worst lists in a rocket that's just pummeling down to the ground simply because we like ivermectin here in Louisiana instead of actual things like, actual vaccines that do a job. As Hal Sparks says, if you have COVID and you take ivermectin and you feel better, you had worms too. Sorry. So, hey, Take Me to Tiffany's, good to see you. Thank you for joining. And I said, what about Take Me to Tiffany's? Anyway, haven't sung that in a while. And you can say I'm pretending all you want. I know I'm morally superior than anybody who sits there and drops the N-Bob on their customers, even if the customers are terrible people. I know I'm morally superior to people who defend murder. I know I'm morally superior to a whole bunch of other people as well, because I like to think that I have morals, right? I don't even know what you're saying with that, so I don't even know why that's a quote. So, whatever. Thank you for joining, and thank you for helping the algorithms, XNF. Appreciate you. See, hospitals are high-risk centers for contagious bugs and viruses. Vaccine protocol is the best events in these settings, especially though if you have the parent who is at risk for having hepatitis B, or if you have somebody in the household that has hepatitis B, and you want to make sure to protect the infant from hepatitis B. What you do is you give them the hepatitis B vaccine. Simple as that. But the morons in this administration, like Donald Trump and others, who want to make the argument that, oh, well, you can only get hepatitis B by sexual intercourse or drug use, not realizing that you can actually literally get it from having somebody give birth to you if they have it. This is the idiocy that is part of this administration. We have such dumb assholes in this administration that they don't even realize how dumb they are. They don't know the things that they don't know. I don't even think they know the things that they know. To quote old Rumsfeld from back in the day. Let's talk about a couple other things before I might open up the phone lines for a smidge. But not yet. Don't call in yet. Donald Trump says that affordability is a scam. Why does Donald Trump say affordability is a scam? Well, A, because it's hurting, his appeal amongst the populace, because even people who may have voted for him are starting to feel the pinch. So he's going to say, oh, well, affordability, it's a new, well, A, he called it a new word. It's not a new word. Open up a damn book and read, and you'll find all sorts of new words, I'm sure, that you don't know, old Donnie boy. But he doesn't understand why affordability is an issue, because as somebody who's been wealthy his entire life, Donald Trump doesn't understand the issues of affordability. He's never had to sit here and make a decision as to whether or not he needs to, get medicine or get a loaf of bread. He hasn't made a decision as to whether or not he needs to, pay the car insurance or pay for health insurance. He hasn't had to make a hard decision as to whether or not, he needs to go without food so that, something else can, be paid for that week. He doesn't understand the struggles of people who are in poverty, of people who are lower income, of people who are even middle class. He doesn't understand why affordability is an issue, because he's never had to deal with it as an issue. That's why, we need to elect more I guess, common type folks, or at least folks who might at least understand what's going on in this country as it pertains to the economy. Trump also accepted the FIFA Peace Prize, the consolation award, I guess, for not getting the Nobel. Congratulations for your participation trophy. Good job, old Donnie boy. Do you feel good about yourself for having the soccer people tell you that you're a peaceful person? It's ridiculous. Then, of course, Donald Trump, as was Juneteenth and Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, or at least when we celebrate it, Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Those are no longer free days to enter the parks. But Donald Trump's birthday is a free day to the park now. I mean, if you don't believe that Donald Trump is a racist piece of crap beforehand, I don't believe that this particular action is going to convince you any different, but it should, because he clearly is a racist piece of crap. So I think that does leave Big Hook. Trump knows the best words, all the best words. He knows them all. Let's go ahead, turn that off, turn that on. If you would like to call into the show and debate me, talk to me, tell me how great I am, tell me how you think I'm terrible, as long as you don't don't drop the N-bomb, don't drop any other racial slurs, and be a reasonable, civil-minded person, I'm more than welcome to have you call into the show. 562-LIB-DAN1, 562-LIB-DAN1, 562-542-3261, if you wish to call in. Big Hook says, Flag Day is coincidentally his birthday. I know that, but why take it away from Martin Luther King Day? Why take it away from Juneteenth? Because you're a racist piece of shit. That's why, old Donnie boy. See, my friend, the one in my pick, was in a hospital through COVID. I told the docs and nurses he was my brother just to get in to see him, which was kind of true. Well, chosen brother sometimes can even be even better than, brother by, brother by blood, right? Good to see you, Marie. Thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Again, we have the, let's put the Discord link again. Maybe this time I can actually pin the Discord link to the YouTube chat. If you want to join the Discord, you feel free to do so. And again, if you are it doesn't matter if you've been gifted a membership or subscription or whatever or not. All that matters is that you will have extra access in the Discord channel as a liberal Danimal, and I'll probably expand some of the access as well as I put more work into the Discord channel. But if you will have more access to the Discord channel if you are either a member here on YouTube, a subscriber on Twitch, or a Liberal Dan Radio patron. So, congratulations, Aaron. You got an A in statistics. I think that's better than I ever did in statistics. So there you go. You outsmarted me, Aaron. Mazel tov. Congratulations. Proud of you. Jeff Curry says, call cannot connect. That's so weird. I don't know why that's the case, because I guarantee you if Big Hook calls in, he'll be able to get in right away. Maybe it's something, I don't know if it's with your carrier. Maybe your carrier has a problem with Google Voice. I don't know. Are you dialing 1 beforehand? Do you have to dial a 1 for the 562-542-3261? I don't know. It's very weird that you're not able to get in. So we're not going to leave the phone lines open too long. I probably want to end the show in no more than 20 minutes from now, just to give everybody a heads up. I was very tired today. I did not get to sleep till late last night, obviously because I happened to see the other show on at 2 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, Big Hook, statistically speaking, Aaron is okay. Aaron is A-okay. Very well played. Let's see. Has that stuff helped ease your pain? It did a little bit. It helped me be a little bit more mellow. I think it did. I haven't had the opportunity to use it more than once because I don't really want to use it when my kids are around. And unfortunately, my kid's off this week. So, because it's testing or whatever. So, Oh, so wait, I thought something it looked like somebody was calling in, but then it doesn't look like they did after all. So, whatevs. There we go. There's Big Hook. And we got Big Hook on the show. Appreciate you. Of course, just as a reminder to everybody before Big Hook you start talking, I'm turning off the call-in thing right now. While somebody else is on the phone, do not call in because that's going to be distracting and annoying. But anyway, good to talk to you, Big Hook. How are you today? How's your weekend? How's your foot?
I'm hanging in there, hobbling along, getting better day by day, tackling things that I should have tackled a long time ago in terms of decluttering and dehoarding and all the other stuff.
Well, I don't think you should be tackling anybody now because you have a bad leg. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. Well, the national strategy thing that Trump apparently put out in November, the statement thing, apparently he said that he still wants to make Canada the 51st state, or if nothing less, a vassal state. Like what the fuck is he thinking?
That's bold of you to think that he actually can think, but he wants to be a despot, and he wants to have as much control as possible. Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely, and he's already corrupt as shit. So
yeah, but here's the thing: he doesn't have any. The thing that was made apparent to me from before through Texas Paul is he is after the rare earth minerals and stuff that we have up here in Canada, and he is trying to do the same thing through the vulture capital thing that is basically he's trying to become a monopoly with all the rights and stakes and everything else. And as Texas Paul was also saying, he said that's part of why he was making that deal there in the Congo and Rwanda and stuff, because apparently those are also countries that have access to these precious rare earth metals and whatnot. Right. And and the same thing with Venezuela. It's not about the oil. The oil is basically a false flag. It's just, and the same thing with the drugs. It's just a bullshit excuse because he wants to go in and he wants to get access to the raw earth, minerals again. Because he's trying to create a legacy that he can utilize, and then that also gives him the with his family and whatever he's going to leave his sons, a controlling interest that will give them negotiating power as well as unlimited money from other countries who don't have the United States' best interest at heart.
Right.
And it's the question is I don't think Trump is smart enough to do this all on his own. So the question is who is pulling the strings? And the question is it China? Is it Russia? Is it, because let's face it, he's sundowning so quickly right now.
Right.
Some people are speculating that he may be gone in 3 to 6 months at the rate he is going right now, because he can barely keep his eyes open half the time, and anything that comes out of him. And then the other thing is apparently he's up all night doing his tweet shit and stuff, which is another sign of the dementia kicking in, because he doesn't have a proper circadian rhythm any longer. So
And you'd think that he'd be able to stay up during those cabinet meetings because all they're doing during those cabinet meetings is just to kiss Donald Trump's ass fest. So you'd think he'd want to stay awake for that, but he just like go to sleep. So
Yeah, I know, and that's just it. And I mean, you look at his face when he's there; he's got that stroke mouth slobber thing that he's always got going. You can see it sort of dribbling out of the corner of his mouth and whatnot, and it's not. And the question I have is who the hell is kicking him awake underneath the table there, sitting next to him? That's the real question. Or
it's probably Caroline Levitt just
somebody
under the table.
Or perhaps he's got an electric buzzer in his chair, so that way when it's pertinent that he has to actually do something, somebody zaps him, so that way he will come awake again. I mean, I don't know what to say anymore. He is a disaster, and you can't count on the Republicans to do anything and to hold him responsible and limit his power.
Right.
And there's all these. I'm guessing we have only caught on to maybe 1/10 of all the backroom deals that are being made worldwide, where he is enriching himself. And the question is like, what do we do? Because he's going to get away with it. That's not the question. The question is what will be left of the United States when all is said and done and all the assets are gone and the oligarchs that are currently right now sitting in the U.S. right now go, you know what? He's bankrupt the whole nation now at this point.
Right.
It's time to pack up and go to New Zealand and live the rest of our lives and pretend that we're not responsible for the apocalypse that we created.
Right.
And we don't want to stick around long enough either to face accountability. And like none of this makes sense because like law and order has absolutely zero meaning anymore.
Well,
SCOTUS can basically overturn everything. I mean, what the fuck is? I mean, if anything,
well, SCOTUS will overturn
just completely
things.
Ignore SCOTUS completely now because they don't have any follow through power. So just say, you know what, you're full of shit, SCOTUS. We'll live our lives the way we want to. We're not going to go by your deluded religious fanatic cult vision of how the rest of us should live our lives.
Well, that's what the Trump administration is already doing. The Trump administration is already doing things like, ignoring the 9-0 ruling that says that they have to give everybody the ability to file a writ of habeas corpus if they're detained, regardless if they're citizens or not. And the Trump administration is ignoring all Supreme Court rulings. When the Supreme Court ruling agrees with Trump and gives him more power, they're like, yay, fine, we'll take it. But when the Supreme Court doesn't do that and they do something that makes their lives more difficult, they're just ignoring it. And you're right. There's no mechanism to force their hand. So yeah, why don't the states just do what Trump is doing and just ignore the rulings that they don't like? I mean, that's pretty much the beginning of the end of the American experiment right there, is if we don't keep up with the idea that 3 branches of government are co-equal and that each one has checks and balances on the other 2. If you can't do that, then we're hosed. We basically then just only have a dictatorship, which is what Donald Trump campaigned on and said he wanted to be in the first place. And everyone he was just joking. No, fuck off. He also said he never jokes. So.
Yeah, but that's just it. Nobody is holding him to account. And he has brainwashed the cult, who basically will die for him.
Right.
And, and like the question, the question is, what do we do with these people afterwards? Like, if you get your democracy back, these people aren't going to disappear, and let's face it, they're as nutty as David Koresh.
Mm-hmm.
And what are you going to do with them? They have gone and, you know, stockpiled all these guns and ammunition and everything else, and they've joined groups like the Proud Boys and the Three Percenters, and you know, and they've got their swastika tattoos and everything else, and they've got their Turner diaries and all the other stuff, and then they've got, you know, I mean, unless you're gonna like either completely jail Steve Bannon, Stephen Miller, and anyone else that's connected to this,
right,
and make examples of them where they go before the Hague and are prosecuted with humanitarian crimes, as well as insurrection attempts to overthrow a democracy. I don't know where you go from here. I mean, I just don't know what to say or to think. I mean, I want to be positive, and I know the answer is always the same, which is you have to hold these people accountable, and they haven't ever been held accountable their whole fucking lives. And unfortunately, the other thing is that they've accrued enough wealth that they can fucking run away from anything when the shit hits the fan and people say enough is enough and whatnot. And I mean, that's the thing. They'll go over to Europe and they'll decide, oh, you know what, I want to be I'm going to claim asylum in Hungary,
right,
and go live out the rest of my life there. Or
do you think
I mean,
Viktor
obviously
Orban
not...
wants Trump over there? Really? Like
well,
a lot of people.
Let's face it. He's gonna.
That's Turkey.
I'm convinced
right?
Trump is going to end up in Saudi Arabia. That's what I'm convinced.
Or Qatar.
He's not going to go down to the South American countries because they don't have any golf courses or anything. And
right.
Saudi Arabia will say, "Oh, you can have the top floor on one of those hotels that we promised you, and you'll have everyday access to the golf course, which is sitting right next to it." You know,
I think
and all you got
Qatar
to do is make sure you bring a shitload of documents with secrets, and we'll call it even.
Right. I mean, Qatar is going to give him the plane, and then he's going to have the course built to Qatar. So maybe he'll just have a nice little floor on his own resort.
Yeah,
in
but
Qatar,
think
right?
about it. What do you think is going to happen with that plane? All that technology is going to be there in the hands of the enemies, and that'll be the top of tier technology stuff that they will, you know, re-engineer or learn about and sell to the highest bidder, which will then make the United States completely, you know, at the mercy of whatever. You know, I mean, that's the thing, because Trump has the thought in his head he's just going to burn it all to the ground if he doesn't get his way and become dictator for life.
Right.
So it's like Wajahat Ali says. He says he's like a New York sewer rat. He will chew through anything to get away, you know, and that's the thing. That's one of the things that worries me the most, is that he's got access to the nuclear codes. And I mean, if he has found a sycophant such as Hegseth, who has access to those codes and has assigned somebody to hold that, who is loyal to Trump, he could literally hold the whole nation hostage and say, if you don't like it, I'll start World War III.
Right.
And, you know, and I don't want to be dystopian. I fucking hate this shit. This shit irks the crap out of me, and I don't want this to go any further. I mean, if there is a God, please take him soon and get rid of him. And you know, and then the question is will Vance be any better, if not worse, because he will be under the thumb of Musk and Thiel, who already have their own dystopian vision of what America should be. And the worst part is that they're both from fucking South Africa.
Hell, Musk is more has at least recently seems to be more worried about the invasion of Europe or whatever, because he's pushing his South African apartheid ideals to Europe now, I guess, right?
And Thiel was the same. He's from that same thing, and unfortunately they share the same thinking, and it's another case of they have more money than God, and people have enabled them and think that they're somehow superior because they've cheated the system and created the system that allows them to fail upwards. I don't know how else to put it.
Right.
Because Tesla isn't a creation of Elon.
Nope.
Tesla was around before Elon. All he's basically done is found people who could do the engineering as well as figure out what the production process should be to be able to make those cars.
Yep.
I mean, he doesn't get any hands-on with them. He wants to be the spokesperson. Oh, gee, I can read from a brochure and then pretend it's all because of me.
Right.
And I mean, it's all horse shit. It's all cosplay.
Yep.
Like, that's what worries me is that we had so many people who warned us that Trump was a malignant narcissist and he was a psychopath, and that he would bring this nation to its knees, and that he would create more problems, and would scapegoat anyone that, wasn't white.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, look at what he's done. He's gone and he's fucked over all the Latin American people and all the people who came here and who created much of what has been the sustainability of people who can't afford going market rates for getting work done.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who else is going to do your roof? Who else is going to build your house? Who else is going to do all these jobs that most of these maggots couldn't get beyond 2 + 2, in
Right.
terms of thinking and the ability to do anything.
Oh, be careful. XNF's going to say, oh, we now think we're better than them. The guy over on Twitch. No, sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
I don't know. Do you feel as desperate as I do, Dan? Because I feel like.
Well, there's one reason why I went to 3 nights a week is because I think I needed to spend more time focusing on politics and the issues that are facing our country than having a night dedicated to gaming. So that if that's your answer, there you go.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's the thing, but like, and there's lots of great content creators out there, I mean, yes, I miss Dude as well, but he's not the only one out there.
Right.
There's tons and tons of them. The thing is that the question is how do we? There are those that are unreachable, and those who are too far gone, and who unfortunately, have to go the way of the dodo bird, where they have to just, fall away from society. And, if they end up in a compound and worship Trump like David Koresh or whatever, maybe that's what it comes down to. But, I mean, I don't know what else to say. You have sects of the population who are just batshit crazy. And, and on top of that, they're within the ranks of the military and the police and all these other things. Thanks to, Fox News and all the other things that allowed this strain of, batshit crazy grievance thinking and scapegoating because, you should give all your money to the billionaires because of course they'll make your life better. Fuck off.
Chad
I don't know what else.
Chad thinks you want MAGA in camps. That's what Chad thinks.
Chad, the problem is that maybe you think you're reasonable, but I'll bet dollars to donuts you know a lot of people amongst your ranks who are not sane and would sooner shoot you rather than turn the other cheek or walk away. And that's my concern. Because, shoot first, ask questions later, or let the paramedics sort them out. That sort of philosophy just doesn't work. And I mean, that's the thing. That's where we are right now with Venezuela and the bombing of the fishing boats. These people are just trying to go out there and survive, and they're putting their life already in their own in dangerous situation. I mean, it's not. Fishing is already a dangerous occupation, and then to just be in the middle of the night from out of the sky, someone bombs you.
Right.
And then bombs you again when you think, oh my God, I got to hold on to this thing and pray. And then your prayer isn't answered. It's just, you're being murdered.
Mm-hmm.
And what? For what? For kicks? For greed? For an excuse to invade a country that hasn't done anything of any serious consequence to the United States? I mean, I don't know. Am I overthinking this thing, or am I approaching it with the right degree of caution and, thought?
I mean, at this point, I don't know how much caution we should be expected to have anymore. Take this story right now that just came across my news feed. Immigrants approved for citizenship plucked out of line moments before pledging allegiance. As of December 2nd, USCIS is halting all applications for immigrants from 19 countries Trump deemed high risk. Immigrants were moments away from pledging allegiance to the United States in Boston, i.e. doing everything legally, as all the conservatives fucking say. They want people to if you just come here legally, that's what they tell us. If you just come here legally, it's fine. It's okay. That's what you need to do. These individuals came here legally, did everything. We're about to pledge their allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. And then moments away from pledging that allegiance, government officials pulled them out of line and made them not be able to get naturalized. Not because of anything that they did, but because of where they're from. And to all of the MAGA folks, whether it's like XNF over there who's whining and bitching and moaning or whatever, this is the kind of bullshit that I'm talking about. You cannot sit here and tell us that, they just need to do the right things. No, they're doing the right things, and now we're telling them no anyway. At the end of the day, it's just another example, another reason why. This is never about legality. It's always about bigotry. It's not legality, it's bigotry. And they're going to find some way to bend over backwards or forwards for Donald and try and figure out how to make an excuse as to why this is okay too. But these people did everything that they wanted to do, everything that we've asked them to do. They came here legally. They followed the process, everything. And all of a sudden, what now? Now they can't become citizens. They plucked them out of line. Screw you, F you. Well, screw this administration and all of the racist asshats that are still supporting it. Simple as that.
Well, just think how much it's going to cost to bring all these people back from, if they're still alive, after they've been deported.
Right.
You know, look at all the kids that who were never reunited with their parents when Biden took over.
I got to cut you off for a second. Aquatic goes, if it was just because they were Somali or something, I agree with this. I don't know what their. It doesn't look like that the people in the room that are pictured right now, they don't necessarily look like they're Somali. But what about somebody being Somali makes somebody unworthy if they followed all the other correct steps? This is the Nazi bullshit that this administration is doing. They are taking some people who happen to be Somali and saying, look at what these Somalis are doing. Let's get rid of them all. Who else did that in the history of this nation? Nobody in the history of this world.
Yeah,
Fucking
but my
Adolf
understanding, of it is that he's basically imposed the Muslim country ban again, and basically he's using that as the tool to basically pick out people who are trying to get naturalized.
Yep.
And he's just basically going out there and basically plucking anybody from a Muslim country that he doesn't like or who hasn't played ball with him in terms of bribery. So if you're from a Muslim country which doesn't have access to oil or raw earth minerals he wants.
Let me just cut that off a second. Aquatic goes, Chad goes, no, I'm saying unless they stopped people for some wild felony shit, fine. If it was because they are from Somalia, I disagree with doing that. Okay, fine, good. But still, this is the Nazi crap that they're doing. For all the people that are supporting this crap, again, this is Nazi bullshit. Anyway, go ahead, continue.
Yeah, but that also lends itself to the other argument, which is what are ICE and all these Border Patrol people doing? They're just saying their excuse will be, I was just following orders. They know it's wrong. They know it's bullshit. They know that these are illegal orders.
I think you're giving them a little too much credit. I don't think the ICE people know it's wrong. I think the ICE people believe it's correct. And that's the problem, is that they're hiring people who will follow along and goose step along with Donald Trump's Nazi bullshit.
Oh, I agree with that too. But like I said, when they are brought to account, they will be their single answer will be, I was just following orders. They're never going to admit that they're fucking racist pieces of shit. That's the problem. They're in denial.
That's the funny thing about the woman working at the Cinnabon or whatever in Minnesota, is that she was like, I am racist. She basically was like, I am racist. And I think you're going to start seeing people now who are going to be proudly and proclaiming themselves to be racist because Donald Trump, all he has done for the last, since he came down the escalator, has made it more and more easy for racists to be emboldened and for them to admit that, yes, they're racist. They don't feel like they have to hide it anymore. That's the ultimate scary thing. It used to be racists were afraid to reveal themselves as racist. They had to do things in private. Now they're more than happy to admit it in public, and more are going to continue to do so.
Yeah, I mean, this was the thing. This is what all the experts warned, is that he was going to embolden the worst that society had, and that he was going to, and I mean, the first thing was he pardoned all the January 6ers.
Yep.
They admitted to their crimes.
Yep.
And he pardoned them anyway.
Yep.
And like, what do you do with that? Not to mention the fact that the Honduras president, he was already convicted of bringing in over 500 tons of cocaine. You know, proof was already there. All the evidence was there. All the, you know, the messages, all the evidence of him conspiring with other people to do what he did, you know, was already on the record, had already been adjudicated through the courts. And he fucking threw it all away and said, no, he got railroaded because that's what's going to happen to me. So I'm going to do something for him. And I mean, I think that's what's going to end up happening. Because he's going to go on that plane if he survives. I mean, Lord only knows now. I mean, if he's actually going to survive.
Right.
Because he's treated his body so badly, like shit. I mean, they're already saying that all the telltale signs are there that he's taking the dementia drugs, and the explanations as to why the MRI twice in 6 months, you know, is monitoring, you know, that the drugs are doing what they're supposed to be doing or whatever, you know what I mean? But he's not getting better. He's just getting worse.
Nope, not at all.
And I mean, you can tell they're desperate to get him to sign anything and everything before the midterms, or better yet, that the sane Republicans who are like, yeah, I don't want to be here when accountability comes a knocking and asks me the hard questions that I don't have appropriate answers for, you know, and that's just it. I think that's where we're at. I mean, I don't know, Dan. I've never been. I don't think I've ever been so politically scared ever in my life, in terms of wondering what this fucking nutbag will do next. Mm-hmm. Because every day it's something new. I mean, today, what was it he did today? He repealed the Biden thing on old folks' homes, saying that you had to have a minimum number of people to look after each and every person in an old folks' home, and he repealed that.
Right. Because, you know.
So what? So he could get another contribution from the people who run these homes.
I'm sure.
I mean,
I'm sure they bought. I'm sure they bought like some Trump crypto and some Trump phones that they're never going to get or whatever, just to be like, hey, can you do this so we don't have to hire as many nursing staff, because they're not professionals, right? So if nurses are not professionals, I guess you don't need as many of them, right?
Like, it's like I said last time I phoned in. You think things can't get any worse, and yet they do.
Right.
They just keep getting worse and worse and worse. And it's
I think when we say it can't get, when anybody thinks it can't get any worse, everything takes that as a challenge. Be like, oh, challenge accepted. Well, let's make it worse. So, Bald Thanos in chat brought up something that was interesting. He goes, Bald Thanos says, I wonder if the pardon will apply to the January 6th bomber. That would be, I mean, while I don't necessarily think that they should.
Well, they dropped that story now that they found out that he's a Trump supporter, because now they're going to, he's probably going to fall under that same category, because his argument will be, then you pardon the January 6ers, I'm part of the January 6th revolt.
Yep, because it was,
therefore I qualify for it.
It didn't specifically name everybody, so therefore he may very well claim it. And while I don't necessarily think it's you know, good to do, it would be a very amusing backfire for that to happen to Trump.
Yeah, but the thing is that he wants the story to disappear, just like the Epstein files.
Right.
You know, and, you know, I mean, Chad, no offense, but you realize that you're supporting a pedophile, a man who admitted that he walked into the pageants on girls in the change rooms naked. Mm-hmm. You know, like, and if I recall, Chad, you have children of your own. Would this be okay? Would this be acceptable for someone like Trump to go in and look upon your children? You know,
Let's see.
like
I'm looking at the pardon again or whatever. The pardon only goes for people who were convicted of offenses related to the events that happened at or near the United States Capitol on January 6th. And then also says the Attorney General shall administer the immediate issuance of certificates of pardon, or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Further direct the Attorney General to pursue dismissal with prejudice to all government, to the government of all pending indictments against. So the indictments would have to be pending if not already convicted. So that's why the White House pardon wouldn't apply to the guy with who set the bombs, because they never blew up.
Well,
so.
here's the thing that I'm wondering. Is there enough of the military that are ethically bound and will, follow their oath and defend the Constitution and basically remove Trump? Because
I've been hoping that
obviously
since 2016. Honestly, 2016, 2017. I've been saying that for a long time, that we are going to have to eventually hope one day that the military, or there's going to be enough people in the military to absolutely do just that, to step up and say, nope, this is too far. We draw a line in the sand. Stop it. We're removing you. And I don't know if enough people like that are going to happen, because they're too busy trying to weed out the people who are not going to be his sycophants. So,
well, that's what. Anyway, I probably said more than I probably should have. It's everything is up in the air. Everything is wait and see. Everything is, is he going to live long enough to face justice, or is he just going to run away, or do we just simply give him a get out of jail free card and say, go your fucking merry way on your Qatari jet and never let us see you ever again, and then we have to deal with the mop up that the Republicans have left us, which is a huge debt once again that the rest of the world will now have to deal with, because, unfortunately, so many people around the world have invested in U.S. Treasury bonds and everything else, and they have seen their futures go. I mean, this was the thing. The world trusted the U.S. to basically be the worldwide police who would step in when things went sideways, and now it appears that everything has gone sideways because Trump is basically a Russian stooge. Whatever the hell Putin's got on him, he's never going to tell anybody, but, and until Putin dies, we're not going to know exactly what it was either. But, I mean, we can speculate. I mean, we already know that Epstein was in contact with Putin, and that, he probably had the dirt that Epstein had on him already. Do you think it's coincidence that Epstein magically committed suicide? I don't think so.
No, I don't think he committed suicide to begin with. No, I don't think one bit. So,
Anyway,
let me let you go, simply because the fact that I'm starting to feel the tiredness sink in because of, a very long day. So,
yeah, no, I hear you. I just thought I had to say my piece and whatnot. I hope I am, giving voice to everybody else out there who is feeling the same way that I am. So anyway, everybody hang in there. We will get through this somehow. I don't know how, but we will. And eventually things will return to the hands of sane people who know how democracy is supposed to be run and work.
Yep.
Anyway.
All right, man. Have a good one. Good talking to you. See you online on Wednesday.
Okay. All right. Take care. Bye.
All right, Big Hook, everybody. Thanks, Big Hook, for calling in. We are going to turn off the phone lines now because we are going to end the show for today, simply because of the fact that I'm tired and I have a few more things to do before I have to go to bed. So, Anyway, thank you, Big Hook, for the call. Thank you, John, for calling in. Thanks, everybody, for supporting the show. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, Lady Glass, for becoming a liberal Danimal. And again, the Discord chat is pinned. Should be pinned, yes, to the top of the YouTube chat if you want to join the Discord. And all you have to do to join and be part of every part of the Discord, for the most part, unless except for the mod channels or whatever, is just simply be a liberal Danimal. Be a liberal Danimal here on YouTube by buying a membership, have a membership gifted to you, get a subscription over on Twitch, or be a Liberal Dan Radio patron. Other than that, we will be back again. No Nerdy Dan tomorrow. We're slowing that down, and we're not going to be doing it this week regardless. But no Nerdy Dan, and of course we'll be back Wednesday and Thursday. For the 3 times a week show at this point. So again, thanks to everybody for joining. Appreciate you. We'll play a couple of songs on the way out. Otherwise, have a good one. Peace.
Trump piled debt, trillions tall. Promised Mexico would fund that wall. Praised dictators, said they're strong. Had Joe done it, they'd say he's wrong. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, they'd scream foul play. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Goes through crises, storms, and war. Called soldiers losers who died in war. Hired his kids to run D.C. If it was Hunter, they'd scream treachery. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, the numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, Fox News would say our day. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Love Kim Jong-un, he wrote love letters that take the guns first, lose those rights forever. Signed you spending bills with glee. Had Joe done that, it'd be tyranny. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would flip. Had Biden done it, they shout out today. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Kept secret files, countless untold. Said Putin's word was good as gold. Invited the Taliban to come to U.S. soil. If Joe had done that, they'd all recoil. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd want him to pay. But Trump did it, so it must be okay. Double standards loud and clear. Rules for Trump, but not for peers. What they call treason, if Joe's the name, is patriotism when Donald's to blame. Had Biden done it, MAGA would flip. Had Biden done it, whole numbers would slip. Had Biden done it, they'd shout no way. But Trump did it, so it must be okay.
'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the land Fox News warned its viewers of a dastardly plan. The liberals were launching their war on the season to get rid of Christmas and commit acts of treason, removing decorations out of their sight and telling you that Santa and Jesus ain't white. Environmentalists who will come right after your soul. They hate all things Christmas, especially the coal. They'll sneak in your house all dressed in their flannel and instead give the bad kids some new solar panels. They'll take up all decorations that please us. They'll even go after tiny baby Jesus. Now all these Fox lies cause such a frustration. Who would save us all from this misinformation? When live from the net there came lots of chatter. Could it be old St. Nick, or perhaps someone fatter? Broadcasting from New Orleans down in Louisiana, it was none other than Liberal Dan, coming to save the holiday season, busting through their lies with facts, logic, and reason. But I cannot do it myself, he exclaimed, so he called other groups, each one by name, on Christians, on Muslims, on Wiccans, on Jews, on Hindus and Buddhists and atheists too. Let's all spread the word and tell them indeed that there's no war on Christmas, just one on greed. So instead of joining this manufactured fight, listen to Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right.